Now, one of the unique selling points of the phone show over the last decade has been that I've been shooting on phone cameras to show how good phone imaging can be, from the Nokia N93 transformer to the Nokia N86, N8, Nokia 808 spotter pattern here, but recently on devices like the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. This show is being shot for the very first time ever on an iPhone. This is the iPhone SE, and I chose it because its audio is particularly good. It's mono, which is not ideal for family and event shots, but for this phone show it should be pretty good. So comments welcome, I'll keep mixing it up. Let me know what you think of the iPhone SE shot video in this phone show. Now look, the Blackberry KEY2 LE isn't for you. The very fact that you're watching this video means that you're something of a phone geek, and this is almost the antithesis of an 18:9 screened powerhouse flagship. Yet I've come to rather like it and recommend it, and here's why. Now, I've got a friend, let's call him Brian. Okay, well, in fact, his name is Brian, but that's beside the point. Brian is about 70 and has been using a Nokia E72, remember this? For the last 8 years, since 2010. This was from the era when Symbian and S60 ruled the smartphone world, when keyboarded phones were commonplace, made by Nokia or Blackberry, typically. And in fairness, I can see why. Take away the modern media-centric uses for a smartphone, so YouTube, Netflix, Snapchat, Instagram, imaging in general. And for what you have left, a QWERTY-equipped phone fits the bill rather well. So texting, emailing, basic social media, contacts and calendar, plus the ubiquitous phone calls. For these uses, the E72 runs for 3 days on a charge, has a replaceable battery, is really solidly built and basically never goes wrong. But of course, S60 doesn't really sync to anything these days, so Brian has to back up every week to make sure he doesn't lose any changes, usually to contacts or HandySafe, plus none of his data is available on any other computing device. And I don't think Brian is unique. There must be plenty of over 40 non-geeks out there who are hanging on to their old Nokias and Blackberries because they can't see themselves using an iPhone or Android device. I tried helping Brian get all of his stuff onto an iPhone SE, which I thought would be a good match. We had to jump through hoops, but eventually migrated his contacts and notes. Yet 2 weeks later, he called me up to switch him back. He just couldn't get on with the all-touch interface. Partly this was familiarity with S60 and the Nokia, also partly was because he wanted a real keyboard. When he wanted to type on real keys. And he's exactly the target market for this, the KEY2 LE. Of course, there were the KEY1 and KEY2, but they started at nigh on £600 in the UK, and although they can probably afford it, pensioners often seem to have the most disposable income these days, in my experience, ironically, they balk at this sort of price for a, quote, phone. The KEY2 LE comes in at £350, which is still too much. It should be south of 300, ideally 249, but hey, what do I know, Blackberry? But it's a good start and brings the thumb keyboard into the current smartphone age without breaking the bank too much. Android 8.1, 4 GB of RAM, a Snapdragon 636 with 64 GB of storage plus micro SD or use dual SIMs, a 3000 mAh battery with quick charge 3.0 and Type-C down the bottom. Upgrade from an old Nokia or Blackberry from half a decade ago and you're in a vastly better world in terms of backup and security, and yet you've still got the reassurance of a rather excellent little thumb keyboard. The keys aren't sculpted as much as on older Blackberries, not as domed as those on the old Nokias, but you can still hit 40 words per minute if you're comfortable with your grip and coordination. The obvious question is, what did Blackberry leave out from the KEY2, reviewed in Phone Show 341, in order to almost half the price? Well, not as much as you think. The LE is polycarbonate rather than aluminium, though it's been styled as faux metal here in gorgeous champagne and dark blue. Plus the LE is a full 13 gram lighter, around 8%, which is significant in the hand for a Normob. The chipset's a bit slower, there's 2 GB less RAM at 4 GB here, the battery's a bit smaller and the cameras are less impressive. Here are a few sample shots. Plus the capacitive keytops have been removed, which I think is a good shout out for the target market. Even I didn't use these much on the Key 2. I imagine that newcomers to the LE would get a bit confused as their fingers brushed over the keys and they literally tried to get a grip. But the key, pun intended, USPs are all here. The keyboard, the speed key for launching favourite applications, the Google Assistant key on the right hand side, the Blackberry software suite including the hub. I can see normobs needing a geek friend like you or I to help them set this up, but they should be okay from then on. They can pay for things with NFC plus 3.5mm headphone socket up the top, so also they can listen to FM radio with their headphones acting as an aerial, all present and correct. My number one pet peeve with the Key 2 was the use of capacitive navigation keys, since media and landscape mode was always then compromised. Black bars, barriers everywhere. But again, for the LE target market, I doubt that media watching is high on their agenda, and having permanent and always obvious controls will work well for them. So yes, laying aside the price, which effectively includes a £100 Blackberry tax, and which should be a bit lower, this is still a unique and fairly rugged smartphone for non-geeks, and it should definitely find its market.